their intentions before a candidate forum tomorrow and an expected vote on Tuesday. At least 10 Republicans, many of whom voted to not certify President Biden's 2020 election, have already declared that they are running or are considering going for the speakership. The chaos kicked into high gear after Congressman Jim Jordan failed in 3 floor votes last week, and his Republican colleagues voted by secret ballot to drop him as Speaker designate on Friday. In a stunning acknowledgement of reality, even ousted former Speaker Kevin McCarthy admitted his party's a hot mess.
Crazy Eights, led by Gates, the amount of damage they have done to this party and to this country is insurmountable.
The Crazy Eights, led by Gates. Joining me now, Congressman James Clyburn, Biden campaign national co-chair and assistant Democratic leader. Congressman Clyburn, as always, thank you for coming to the Sunday show. Now, of the Republicans declared or considering running for House Speaker, is there anyone Democrats view as someone they could work with, especially since at least 6 voted against certifying the 2020 election?
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for having me. Well, if 6 voted to certify, that means that 4 of the 10 may meet one of the criteria that I think would be necessary to get a Democrat to vote for them.
Oh.
Democrats have...
Hold on one second. What are those 4? What are the 4 criteria? Sorry to interrupt, but I need to know this.
4 of the 10.
Right, 4 of the 10. Okay.
Well, now, meet at least one of the criteria that we have laid out.
Got
and that is, did you vote to certify the election? We think it's very necessary to have a person running the House who will, in fact, support free, unfettered election. And if you didn't, then I don't see any Democrats voting for you.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday, Congressman Robert Garcia of California was on the show, and he talked about how Democrats are interested in a bipartisan approach to governing. What exactly does that look like to you? Is there an appetite for that among Republicans, do you think?
Well, if you remember, in the last Congress, we had as narrow a margin as the Republicans have in their majority in this Congress. And we passed 6 major bills, 3 of which were bipartisan. And so I think that that's one of the criteria, or 3 of the criteria that will say you ought to be able to manage this body, reaching across the aisle when necessary, putting bipartisan issues on the floor that will suit the dreams and aspirations for the American people. And I think we could go forward from there. So this is not hard. All this is saying that we have a big country, a country of diverse thought. We are represented in this country by 435 members of the House of Representatives, and about half of them are Democrats and about half are Republicans. And so let's manage the House in reflection of that.
Mm-hmm. Is there any chance, because who knows what's going to happen with the vote that's slated for Tuesday, is there any chance that Speaker Pro Tem McHenry could be a permanent speaker, or at least have his duties expanded so that y'all can get some stuff done?
Well, Leader Jeffries made it very clear last week that was something that he was amenable to. And I think he had, in fact, I know he had the caucus support in that. So sure, McHenry is a North Carolinian, though us South Carolinians consider that to be a Northerner. He's a good guy who recognizes the diversity of this country. And that's what you learn here in the Carolinas, that the country is big, it's diversified, various thoughts, and you work with people with different thoughts than you have. Mm-hmm. And so McHenry is that kind of person, though I don't think he wants it. He's made it very clear. It's not something that he wants. But I suspect that if enough Republicans and enough Democrats were to say that maybe we want you, he might change his mind.
Now, you've been on Capitol Hill for a long time. You have been in, well, you still are in leadership, but you were Whip Clyburn in the last Congress. Have you had any back channel discussions with Speaker Pro Tem McHenry or any other of the Biden district Republicans, as I call them, about a path forward?
I have not personally had any discussions with McHenry. I have talked to Democrats who have had discussions with McHenry, and I think those discussions seem to be very pleasant, seem to have been very pleasant, and the door is still open.
Congressman Clyburn, President Biden has sent, I think it's $105 million $1 billion aid package for Israel, Ukraine, and other national security priorities. How's Congress going to get this passed without a speaker?
I don't think we can get it done without a speaker unless we were doing something of a temporary nature, expand the authority of McHenry as he operates in this pro tempore capacity in order to get this and a few other things done. It doesn't say you have to do it on a permanent basis, but you make adjustments. We're living in a pretty precarious time, and we have got to do the people's business. We are there to do things on behalf of the American people. And that's why we Democrats are forever saying we must put people over politics. We can't keep this focus on our politics. My Republican friends have got the focus of the country on their politics. 8 people seem to be the tail wagging the dog of over 200 people. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I really believe it's time for them to really put the people's business above their politics.
All right, as former Speaker Kevin McCarthy called them, the crazy eights led by Gates. Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina, thank you very much, as always, for coming to the Sunday Show.
Thank you very much for having me.